Sophia Riller was just a shy and awkward girl with no friends, quietly enjoying her peaceful school life. But everything changed when she received the Gorilla God Blessing, a powerful ability that only appears once every 50 years. In this world, every person receives a blessing from an animal god when they turn 16. Today, it was Sophia Riller's turn. She was called to the front of her classroom to receive hers. Nervously, she walked forward, trying not to trip. In her head, she thought about all the different blessings she might get. Each one was special and strong in its own way. She quietly hoped for something simple, something that wouldn't make her stand out. Maybe the power of night vision from the mole god's blessing. That would be nice and safe. Her teacher stood next to a group of floating cards and told her to choose one. This card would show which god had chosen her. Her heart raced. She shut her eyes tight and reached out. When she opened them again, she saw it, the card of the gorilla god. The next day, a group of girls led by Carissa came over to Sophia. They laughed and asked which god had picked her. They teased her, saying not even the bird god would want to bless her, and joked that she had no beauty to be chosen by the peacock god. Sophia didn't answer. She stayed quiet, keeping her blessing a secret. After a while, the girls got bored and ran off, saying that Louise had returned to campus. They left her alone in the classroom, giving her a rare chance to eat her lunch in peace. Sophia studied at a fancy academy meant for the children of nobles and powerful families. The school said it wanted to create future leaders, but most of the students only cared about making money or marrying someone rich. The boys made business connections. The girls tried to find powerful husbands. Very few truly cared about doing something good for the country. Sophia came from a faraway land and was the daughter of a count, but her family didn't have much power or influence. No one tried to be her friend. There was nothing to gain from talking to her. So she often ate lunch by herself under a big tree. That day, she took out her lunch and picked up an apple. But when she tried to take a bite, her fingers crushed it completely. Her eyes went wide. She was scared. Since getting her blessing, she had broken everything she touched. She guessed it must be the new power. The day before, after the ceremony, Sophia had shown her card to her teacher in private. His eyes went wide with surprise. He gave her a warm smile and said she had been chosen by the gorilla god, a rare and powerful blessing that only appeared once every 50 years. People with this blessing gained incredible strength, 7 times stronger than normal. Even her grip became 10 times more powerful. Sophia's legs gave out and she fell to her knees. This wasn't what she had wanted. She didn't want to be noticed or given a power she couldn't control. Before she could say anything else, her teacher told her to come back the next day for a private meeting. He didn't explain why, but said it was important. Now, sitting under the trees, Sophia thought about that meeting. She tried to enjoy her lunch, but her mind kept drifting. A sudden rustling sound pulled her attention away. A squirrel had climbed down from the tree and was now staring at her with wide, curious eyes. She tilted her head, wondering why it was acting so strange. Maybe it was hungry. She took out a piece of bread and placed it gently on a handkerchief, leaving it behind as she stood up and walked away. The squirrel didn't touch the food. It just kept watching her, completely still. The day went by slowly, her mind still full of worry. When the final bell rang, instead of going home, she went to the headmaster's office. There she learned what her teacher had hinted at the day before. The royal knights were interested in her. They wanted her to take their entrance exam. The headmaster gave her a letter with all the steps she needed to follow. He spoke about duty and talent, saying her blessing was too rare to ignore. He told her that everyone who had ever received the gorilla god's blessing had become a knight. Inside, Sophia felt like she was falling apart. This was never her dream. She didn't want attention or to be forced into something so public. She imagined all kinds of terrible outcomes, disappointing her parents, being sent to a special school for failures, or becoming the center of gossip. Still, she stayed calm. She pretended to be okay with it. Sophia then asked the headmaster to keep her blessing a secret. He agreed, thinking she was just being humble and didn't want to brag. He even promised not to mention that the royal knights had scouted her, assuming she wanted to surprise everyone later. That afternoon, Sophia went back to her tree. The bread she had left earlier was gone, and only the handkerchief remained with a few crumbs. As she bent down to pick it up, she thought about the meeting. She was now on a path she never wanted, training to become a royal knight. But then a new idea came to her. What if she failed the exam on purpose? If she didn't pass, they wouldn't let her join, no matter how rare her blessing was. On the day of the test, Sophia got lost trying to find the training grounds. While wandering near the edge of campus, she saw an old man struggling with a broken wagon. One wheel was missing, and he didn't know how to move his heavy load. She hesitated. Helping him might get her noticed. But in the end, she couldn't ignore him. She used her strength to lift the barrels and carry them to the next town, surprising the man. By the time she finished and returned, she was completely lost. That's when Louise appeared. He saw she was confused and walked over. Sophia was stunned. not just because of how kind he was, but because of how handsome he looked. It was the first time she had ever been speechless around someone. She quickly explained her situation, and he pointed her toward the testing center. Before she left, he gently wiped her face, leaving her frozen. Then he wished her good luck and said they'd meet again soon. His words confused her, but she didn't have time to think about it. At the training grounds, she changed into her uniform and saw she was the only girl there. She still planned to fail, until she saw Luis arrive. He was going to be the one running the test. The first challenge was a 100-meter dash. A boy named Isaac volunteered to go first. He was fast, powerful, and serious. He finished in just 9.9 seconds, impressing everyone. Sophia felt relieved. Maybe now she could fail without drawing attention. When it was her turn, she walked to the starting line. Some of the boys laughed at her strange stance. She didn't care. She just wanted to run, lose, and leave. But as soon as she pushed off the ground, her body moved faster than she thought possible. The gorilla god's power took over. She flew down the track and crashed straight into the wall at the end, breaking through it. Everyone stared. The whole place went silent. Even Sophia stood frozen, shocked. For a moment, she had actually enjoyed it, letting herself use the power, and that realization scared her. The next test was rappelling down a tall tower. When she reached the top, the dizzying height made her stomach turn. The group hesitated, unsure of who should go first, until a boy named Eddie volunteered and even did a flashy flip on the way down. Then Sophia noticed Isaac standing off to the side, pale and tense. He admitted he was afraid of heights. She offered to go with him, promising to go first so she could catch him if anything went wrong. Touched by her kindness, Isaac smiled, but halfway down, a strong gust of wind hit. Isaac lost his balance and his safety gear snapped. Sophia acted without thinking. She grabbed him midair, trying to hold on, but the force ripped the anchor from the wall. They both fell. In the air, she turned, cradling Isaac tightly in her arms, and landed hard but safely, sending up a cloud of dust. Louise, watching nearby, looked stunned. Isaac, with tears in his eyes, thanked her. Whispers spread quickly about her bravery until Louise stepped in, quieting the crowd and reminding them the test wasn't over. Then he helped Sophia up and walked her to the infirmary. There, he noticed her injured palm and began cleaning it. He commented that the wound should have been much worse, considering the fall, and praised her strength, teasing that Isaac was probably already in love with her. Sitting quietly, Sophia found herself staring at Louise's face. She had always thought he was handsome, but up close she noticed even more: his long lashes, smooth skin, and the calm way he moved. When he looked up and caught her gaze, he gently asked if she was in pain. Startled, she quickly said no, flustered. She hadn't meant to stare and now felt embarrassed. Louise chuckled softly, a warm, easy sound that surprised her. In that moment, he seemed younger than she'd imagined, his usual seriousness replaced by a boyish charm. When she thanked him and tried to pull her hand away, he didn't let go. Instead, he held it gently between both of his hands, and the quiet warmth of the gesture left her speechless. The unexpected gesture caught Sophia completely off guard. She felt a little uncomfortable as Louis gently touched her injured hand. Clearing her throat, she softly called his attention. Louis blinked, clearly unaware of what he had been doing, and quickly pulled his hands away, looking embarrassed. It was a small thing, but Sophia noticed the slight change in him. His usual calm and polite expression slipped for just a moment, and she found herself quietly amused to see this rare, unguarded side of him. But that moment didn't last long. Louis quickly shifted the conversation, asking about her unusual strength and why she decided to join the night exam in the first place. Realizing that he might be asking too much, he quickly stopped himself, keeping any further questions to himself. He returned to his usual polite manners and simply offered his hand to help Sophia stand up. As they walked back to the training grounds, Sophia noticed that many of the examinees were already locked in mock battles, swords clashing in a flurry of movements. It became obvious that while she had been resting in the infirmary, the others had moved on to the next part of the test, and she had completely missed it. Her heart leaped with a flicker of hope. Maybe missing the test would mean she failed automatically, but that tiny hope was quickly replaced by a pang of disappointment. If she failed, she might never see Louis again. Sophia forced herself to stay calm. She reminded herself that Louis lived in a different world from hers. Later, Louis officially announced the end of the tests. The examinees began to leave, their voices full of either excitement or frustration. Sophia stayed behind, hoping for some kind of closure. Louis walked up to her and gave her a calm nod, thanking her for her bravery during the repelling test. Just then, Isaac came running over, clearly relieved to see her safe. His eyes teared up as he checked her injuries, still feeling thankful to her for saving him. Louis smiled faintly and reminded Isaac to properly thank her. He also praised Isaac's speed, saying it would be a great strength for a future royal knight. After that, Louis left. As Sophia and Isaac walked home, she grew curious and asked about Louis. Isaac happily shared what he knew. Lewis came from a long line of royal knights, many of whom had been captains. It was almost certain that Lewis would become a captain too. He had the leadership skills and the humility needed to lead. Despite his high status, he was kind and down to earth, earning respect from even the top elites. Sophia listened quietly. A feeling of envy grew in her chest. Isaac had such big dreams to be like Lewis, to live with purpose. Meanwhile, she had no dreams like that. Her strength felt strange and out of place, like it was meant for someone else who knew how to use it properly. Sophia's thoughts were interrupted when they spotted Eddie a short distance away. He was cornered by a group of boys who were teasing and insulting him, saying he wasn't fit to be a knight because he was the son of a mistress. Sophia hesitated, not wanting to get involved. But her conscience wouldn't let her walk away. Eddie didn't deserve that treatment. She glanced at Isaac. Without needing words, they understood each other. Together, they walked toward the group, pretending that Eddie had agreed to walk home with them. The bullies laughed at the excuse, clearly not wanting to let Eddie go. Then one of them recklessly threw a punch at Sophia. But before it could hit her, Isaac grabbed the attacker's wrist in midair. Isaac was furious. A future knight raising a hand against a girl was something he couldn't forgive. Meanwhile, Eddie had already knocked out another bully from behind, sending him flying to the ground. Chaos broke out. Eddie and Isaac started fighting the group. Sophia just stood there, frozen with wide eyes, caught between amazement and disbelief. One of the bullies noticed her standing still and grabbed her wrists, trying to twist it painfully. But to Sophia's surprise, it didn't hurt at all. Without thinking, she reacted. With just a flick of her arm, she threw the bully across the clearing and into a tree. Everyone stopped fighting and stared at Sophia in shock. Trying to calm things down, Sophia quickly told everyone to stop and leave. Soon after, Sophia, Isaac, and Eddie walked home together quietly. The bullies had already picked up their injured friends and ran away without saying a word. Eddie joked that it was obvious Sophia had been blessed by the gorilla god. He said her amazing strength during the exam, especially outrunning Isaac, the fastest boy in the country, made it impossible to hide. His mood turned serious as he scolded Sophia for not realizing how lucky she was. He explained that the gorilla god's blessing gave her incredible strength. Even though he was annoyed, Eddie still thanked Sophia sincerely. Without her, they could have gotten seriously hurt. Isaac, still cheerful and friendly, officially reintroduced himself and said he hoped they could become close friends. He told the story of how he got his blessing from the dog god. Eddie didn't say anything about his own blessing. Sophia, feeling a little shy, told them her real name and asked for one favor: to keep her blessing a secret. Both boys agreed right away without any questions. When Isaac found out they were all 16 years old, he said it must be fate. He grabbed their hands and raised them into the air, dramatically declaring the start of their friendship. Even though Sophia smiled, deep down she felt guilty. She still planned to fail the path to knighthood, which meant she might have to leave her new friends behind. The next day at school, the headmaster called Sophia into his office. He told her she passed the exam even though she missed one test. Her other results were good enough. However, she would now have night training after school while still attending her regular classes. Later that day, back in class, the teacher introduced 2 new transfer students. All the girls gasped when Isaac and Eddie walked into the room. Sophia's eyes widened in shock. She tried to hide, but Isaac quickly spotted her and waved, calling out her name. Sophia gave a small, awkward wave back. All the other girls turned to stare at her, whispering among themselves. Sophia knew her quiet school life was officially over. During a break, Sophia pulled Isaac and Eddie aside into a quiet corner of the garden. She begged them not to tell anyone that she was a junior knight. Isaac looked confused, not understanding why she would hide something so honorable. Sophia fidgeted, not knowing how to explain that she didn't feel worthy compared to Isaac and Eddie, who everyone admired. Even though they didn't fully understand, both boys agreed to keep her secret. As they walked back through the courtyard, they heard noise near the school gate. A large group of girls had gathered, whispering and trying to see something. Curious, Sophia, Isaac, and Eddie peeked through the crowd and saw Lewis standing calmly in the middle. As soon as Lewis saw Sophia, he called out her name. The crowd went silent and dozens of girls turned to glare at her. Sophia's heart sank. Lewis walked over and congratulated Sophia, Isaac, and Eddie for passing their exams. But before he could say more, Sophia panicked. She covered his mouth with her hand to stop him from speaking. In her rush, she forgot about her strength. Embarrassed, she quickly let go and apologized. Lewis just laughed it off and asked if her hand was okay. Isaac and Eddie joined them, and Lewis warmly offered his help if they ever needed it. While the boys chatted, Sophia's mind wandered. She realized she had never really noticed Lewis before. Now she could feel everyone's stares burning into her, especially Carissa and her group. Back in class, Carissa and her friends cornered Sophia, demanding to know how she knew Lewis, Isaac, and Eddie. Sophia tried to downplay everything, saying they weren't that close. but the questions kept coming harsher each time. In desperation, Sophia said Louis was still outside. The girls rushed to the windows, giving Sophia a chance to escape. She ran to the cafeteria, feeling both relieved and exhausted. She grabbed a simple meal, just a bowl of soup and a couple of sandwiches, and found a quiet corner. But her peace didn't last. Isaac and Eddie found her quickly, sitting with trays full of food. They complained about all the attention they were getting, not realizing how much trouble it caused Sophia. They liked the spotlight, but Sophia had become a target for jealousy. Isaac noticed her small meal and tried to share his food, but she politely refused. She didn't want to draw more attention. Suddenly, they noticed someone walking toward them, Louis. Calm and confident, he carried a brown paper bag and went straight to their table. He greeted them casually and sat next to Sophia, ignoring all the stares from the cafeteria. He talked about the upcoming junior night induction ceremony, and Isaac and Eddie excitedly asked questions. Sophia, however, ate quickly and made an excuse to leave. Louis found it a little sudden, but wished her a good afternoon. Sophia hurried through the hallways, relieved to get away, but also feeling a little lonely. Before she could return to class, Louis caught up to her. Without saying much, he handed her the brown paper bag. Inside, he said, was a muffin he had bought just for her. He asked her to keep it a secret, saying he hadn't bought anything for Isaac or Eddie. As Louis walked away, Sophia felt a chill. She turned and saw Carissa and her friends lurking nearby, their sharp eyes staring straight at her and the bag. Carissa spoke first, demanding to know what was going on. Sophia froze, realizing her peaceful school life was truly over. During night training, Sophia's friends start to worry because she seems distracted. They don't know that she's still upset about what happened earlier. A group of fans of Louis had shown up at her dorm, asking about her relationship with him. To avoid trouble, Sophia lied and said she and Louis had known each other since childhood because their parents were friends. One of the girls, Carissa, accepted this answer but still called Sophia unrefined. That word stuck with Sophia all day. Even though Sophia managed to calm the situation, she couldn't stop thinking about what Carissa said. She started believing it was true. She thought about how she had always been messy, taller than most girls, and skinny. Now with the gorilla god's blessing, she was even stronger than before. It made her feel even more out of place. Compared to Louis, she thought she wasn't anything special. She believed girls like Carissa had more reason to feel jealous. Someone like her didn't deserve Louis' attention at all. Her thoughts were interrupted when Grandmaster Ernst arrived. He gathered everyone and congratulated them for passing the knight exams and being willing to serve the kingdom. He reminded them that knights should always act noble and look proper. Anything less would bring shame to the knights. His words made Sophia anxious. Everyone else looked proud to wear the knight title, but she felt like she didn't belong. Then Grandmaster Ernst pointed out her messy bangs in front of everyone. Sophia froze, shocked and embarrassed. That night, she stood in front of the mirror and tried to fix her bangs. But her attempt made things worse. The bangs turned out uneven, and she accidentally broke the scissors because of her super strength. The next day, she went into the royal capital to find a real hairdresser. The city plaza was full of life, but she ignored it, focused only on her hair problem. She stopped in front of a bakery, distracted by a strawberry tart in the window. That's when she heard a familiar voice. It was Louis. He was surprised to see her in the capital. Embarrassed, she quickly tried to hide her bangs. When Louis said he knew the city well, she asked if he could take her to a hair salon. Louis agreed and led her through the streets until they arrived at a small, quiet salon. The hairdresser looked more like a fighter than someone who styles hair. Still, Sophia sat down and removed the scarf covering her head. The man scolded her when he saw the messy bangs. She asked for a short haircut, but he got annoyed and asked Louis if a school party was coming soon. Louis said yes, so the hairdresser decided to keep the length but clean up the mess. Louis left afterwards since he had patrol duty. During the haircut, Sophia fell asleep. When she woke up, she looked in the mirror and was shocked. Her messy bangs were gone, replaced by a neat style that made her look soft and pretty. The hairdresser told her bluntly that she had a pretty face and would look amazing if she put in more effort. Before she could say anything, Louis came back and smiled when he saw her. He complimented the new look and seemed really happy about it. When Sophie tried to pay, the hairdresser said the bill was already taken care of. She caught up to Louis, who admitted he had paid for it. He said he felt responsible since he never mentioned her bangs before. He wanted to make up for that as her senior. As they walked through town, Sophia started to feel warm inside. Louis was always unexpectedly kind. When they passed the bakery again, she noticed Louis glance at the sweets with longing. She asked if he wanted some cake. Embarrassed, he admitted he loved sweets but avoided going in because people stared at him for being the only guy. Sophia figured the stares were more because of his good looks, but she didn't say it out loud. She wanted to thank him for the haircut, so she invited him inside. Inside, Sophia noticed all the women staring at Louis. She tried not to feel awkward. She looked at him, his soft smile and calm face, and understood why everyone liked him so much. When it was time to order, she picked the strawberry tart she had wanted earlier. Louis surprised her by ordering a whole set of different desserts. He said he wanted to try them all. As they ate, Sophia watched Louis enjoy his sweets like a happy child. They talked about small things. She found out Louis wasn't even aware of how popular he was. He also said he wasn't engaged because he wanted to focus on his goals, though he didn't explain what those goals were. Then the mood shifted when Louis asked if she had been blessed by the gorilla god. He didn't pressure her, but the question made her nervous. She decided to tell the truth before someone else did. Looking down, she admitted she had the gorilla god's blessing. She apologized for being rough and unfeminine, saying she wasn't like a proper lady. Instead of judging her, Louis admired her. He said her kindness and selflessness might be the reason she got such a powerful blessing. His words surprised Sophia. He didn't see her strength as a problem. He said he knew her path would be hard, but he'd always support her. After they finished eating, they walked back together. Sophia walked a little behind, thinking deeply. She didn't understand why Louis was so kind to her. What made someone like him care about her? She realized she didn't even know what blessing Louis had. She hoped it was another combat blessing like hers. That way, maybe he would understand her better. Far away, in another place, Shin, a Marine squad commander, was looking through new recruit files. He paused on Sophia's profile, studying it closely. Arshin, the flashy musketeer commander, noticed this and teased him since Shin usually wasn't interested in recruits, but Shin ignored him and kept reading. Back at the academy, Sophia ran across campus trying to avoid a group of girls chasing her because of Louis. Later, during training, Isaac complained that she didn't wait for him. They moved to musket training. Sophia and Isaac struggled with the weapon, trying to understand how to hold and fire it. The trainees wore protective vests. Suddenly, Arshin flew down from the sky. His blessing gave him the power to fly. Seeing the group of young knights, he decided to stay and watch. Everyone took turns shooting. Eddie stood out. His aim was perfect. Arshin noticed and recognized the boy's famous family name. Then it was Sophia's turn. She aimed carefully but accidentally broke the musket in half. Arshin laughed loudly instead of getting angry. He told her he already knew about her blessing. Sophia was shocked. Only a few people were supposed to know. At the end, Arshin gave a show. He flew into the air, looked at all the targets, and fired with perfect accuracy. Then, smiling proudly, he encouraged the junior knights to train hard and aim for the same skill level. He left dramatically, flying into the sky. On the way back to the dorms, Sophia and Isaac praised Eddie's shooting skills. They said he was almost as good as Arshin. Eddie blushed but was clearly happy. Then Isaac brought up the school party. Sophia froze. She had forgotten about it. When Isaac asked what kind of dress she'd wear, she panicked inside. She didn't have a dress and didn't even want to go, but she didn't say anything. Meanwhile, the commanders were having a meeting. The topic turned to Sophia. Arshin said he wanted her in his squad because of her powerful blessing. Shin disagreed, saying she wasn't the right fit for a team that needed precision. Their argument didn't last long, though. They both agreed to drop it for now and go grab something to eat. Sophia looked at the brand new dress her family had sent her. She had asked them for something simple for the upcoming party, hoping they would send one of her old dresses so she could blend in. She didn't really want to go to the party at all, but was afraid that skipping it might lead to people talking behind her back. With a deep sigh, Sophia closed the box. The red dress was far too bright and flashy. She didn't want to stand out. When the party began, Sophia stood quietly in a corner wearing a plain blue dress she had owned since middle school. Across the room, Carissa spotted her. With her date, Leo Hart, by her side, Carissa walked over, a mocking smile on her face. Carissa loudly pointed out Sophia's old dress, making sure Leo and others nearby heard. Leo politely introduced himself to Sophia, but Carissa quickly reminded her that the party was for couples, hinting that Sophia didn't belong there alone. After a few more cruel comments about her dress and her being alone, Carissa walked away laughing. Feeling embarrassed, Sophia turned to leave. She picked up her pace, wanting to get out as fast as possible, but then she accidentally bumped into someone. Looking up, she saw Louis, who immediately noticed the tears in her eyes. Sophia tried to pretend everything was fine, saying she had something in her eye, but Louis didn't believe her. He offered to take her to the infirmary, and after hesitating, Sophia told him the truth. She didn't know she needed a partner for the party. Louis smiled kindly and after a short break, returned to the ballroom with her, now as her partner. Everyone started whispering as they entered together. Louis mentioned he hadn't heard anything about needing a partner either and was happy he found her. Sophia noticed people staring at them. She realized that even though many had talked about Louis coming, no one had actually invited him. They had only been curious about who he would choose to attend with. As she and Louis talked comfortably, Carissa and her friends watched angrily from afar. Wanting to embarrass Sophia again, Carissa sent one of her friends over with a drink. The girl pretended to be friendly but accidentally dropped the cup. Sophia reacted quickly and caught it before it spilled, surprising the girl. Defeated, they walked away grumbling. Louis had seen everything and praised Sophia for staying calm. His kind words made her blush. Curious, she asked him why he was so serious earlier when he said they had to go back to the party. He quietly told her that there was a rumor about a bomb hidden somewhere nearby. It could be a joke, but because so many noble children were present, they had to take it seriously. The knights wanted to cancel the party, but the nobles refused. Louis, along with Isaac and Eddie, had started looking for the bomb themselves. He asked Sophia to help. Feeling responsible as a junior knight, Sophia agreed. Louis smiled and offered her his arm, saying that it would seem strange if a party couple didn't walk arm in arm. Sophia was nervous but accepted. They walked around the ballroom together, scanning for anything unusual. Suddenly, Sophia noticed a harsh glare from across the room. Carissa approached with her usual group. She tried to get Louis' attention by talking excitedly, while her friends got closer to Sophia, pretending to help her with something. One girl leaned in like she was brushing something off Sophia's sleeve, but instead, she pulled out a pair of scissors. Sophia saw the blade but didn't react right away. She didn't want to use her gorilla god's blessing out of fear she might hurt someone. Before the girl could cut her, Louis suddenly appeared. With a sharp movement, he slapped the scissors from the girl's hand. The metal clattered loudly to the floor. As the girl stammered out excuses, Sophia stepped between them, trying to calm things down. But Louis saw that her sleeve had already been cut. She told him it was fine, but as she moved, she tripped and tore her dress. Louis caught her before she could fall, quickly wrapping his jacket around her. Then, without a word, he lifted her into a bridal carry and left the ballroom with her in his arms. Outside, Sophia started to feel awkward, wondering how far Louis planned to carry her. He suddenly stopped and blamed himself for not protecting her better. Surprised, Sophia told him it wasn't his fault. She had tripped and she could protect herself too, being a knight as well. Louis looked at her for a long moment before smiling gently. He suggested they go to town to buy her a new dress. But Sophia panicked and said she had a spare. Back in her dorm, she opened the box from earlier and pulled out the red dress. It looked too fancy and made her hesitate, but she thought about Louis and how he had helped her. Wanting to thank him properly, she put on the red dress and rushed back to the party. On her way down the stairs, she ran into Leo. He noticed her immediately and asked why she wasn't with Carissa. He admitted that Carissa had left him to be with her friends. Sophia wanted to find Louis, but Leo kept trying to talk to her and even blocked her path. Just then, Isaac and Eddie called her name. Seeing them approach, Leo quickly left. The boys complimented Sophia on her dress and asked about the strange boy they saw with her. Then they told her more about the bomb threat and said they needed to find Louis. Sophia told them she already knew and that Louis was probably waiting near the ballroom. As she moved to leave, Eddie stopped her and pointed out she hadn't fixed herself up yet. Without warning, he began fixing her hair and makeup. When Sophia returned to Louis, he was surprised by her new look but soon smiled and walked her back into the ballroom with Isaac and Eddie behind them. Many students stared at her. She looked so different that most didn't even recognize her. Feeling shy, she looked at Eddie and wondered where he had learned to style someone. She then noticed something strange. Isaac and Eddie didn't have partners either. She asked about it and they looked surprised. They told her that the party was never just for couples, it was open to everyone. Sophia suddenly realized that Carissa had lied to her on purpose to make her feel embarrassed and alone. Upset, she bowed and apologized to Louis for causing him trouble. But Louis didn't let her apologize. He smiled warmly and said he was happy to be her partner. Across the room, Carissa watched, angry and frustrated. Her friends, now scared of Louis' earlier warning, were unsure about continuing their plans. But Carissa wasn't ready to give up. She noticed a girl watching Sophia from the edge of the crowd. Carissa's eyes lit up as a new plan formed in her mind. As the evening came to a close, the knights began to relax, thinking the bomb threat had been a false alarm. Then Sophia spotted Arana, a classmate, crouched near the edge of the hall. Thinking she might be sick, Sophia went over. Arana nervously said she had lost an earring and showed her bare ear. She claimed to know where it had fallen but was too scared to go alone. Even though Sophia still had duties as a junior knight, she couldn't ignore her classmate in trouble. She followed Arana to an old building behind the school. There, Arana pointed to a large crate and said the earring had probably fallen inside. Sophia climbed into the crate to look. She saw something shining at the bottom, but just as she reached for it, the lid slammed shut and a lock clicked. In the darkness, Sophia stayed calm. She heard Arana's shaky voice say she had been blackmailed into trapping her. Sophia immediately guessed that Carissa was behind it. She knew if she escaped too soon, Arana might suffer, so she chose to stay quiet and hidden until the party ended. But then she heard unfamiliar voices approaching. The crate was being moved. Sophia panicked inside. She didn't know where she was being taken and had to decide, stay hidden or risk everything to get out. As the crate shook and moved, Sophia held her breath, doing her best to stay quiet and still. She didn't move until the footsteps outside finally faded. The men carrying the crate didn't know she was inside. They placed it down in a room on the 3rd floor and left. Once the room was quiet, Sophia used her strength to punch through the wooden crate, breaking it apart. Cool air rushed in, and she felt a wave of relief now that she was free. After calming herself, Sophia walked to the window and looked out at the quiet school grounds. She decided not to return to the party. She thought that if she stayed hidden, Arana wouldn't get in trouble with Carissa. She also told herself that this way, other girls would have a chance to talk to Louise. Still, she couldn't shake the sad feeling in her chest. Just then, a rustling sound interrupted her thoughts. Sophia froze, expecting danger. But when she opened her eyes, she only saw a small squirrel by the window. She realized it was the same squirrel she had shared bread with before. She smiled softly and thanked the animal for keeping her company. The squirrel pointed its nose at the door, as if encouraging her to leave. But Sophia stayed and quietly explained that she didn't want her classmates to get hurt. She believed the bomb warning was probably a prank anyway. However, she also admitted something more personal. She had wanted to spend more time with Louise. Her friends had worked hard to help her look pretty for the party. She had hoped Louise would notice her. She liked the way he treated her kindly, and that made her feel special. Even if he only saw her as a junior knight, she couldn't help wanting more. A part of her wished she could be the only one he looked at, but she felt guilty for thinking that way. Suddenly, fireworks lit up the night sky. Sophia watched them in silence, wondering who Louise was watching them with. She wished she was with him. She wished she looked more graceful, more like the girls who suited him. That longing made her realize something. She was falling in love with him. The feeling scared her. It was new and overwhelming, but also warm in a quiet, comforting way. Sophia looked at the squirrel and asked it to keep her feelings a secret. But peace didn't last long. A strange metallic noise echoed from deeper in the building. She remembered the warning about the bomb. What if it hadn't been a prank after all? She decided to investigate. The squirrel followed her, even jumping ahead to lead the way. When Sophia entered the next room, it seemed empty. But then she heard 2 voices speaking quietly. She moved along the wall to hide. In the shadows, she saw 2 unfamiliar men. They didn't look like students or teachers. She realized they were intruders, probably the ones behind the bomb threat. Sophia started to back away, but her foot made a loud noise. The men heard it and turned toward her. One of them rushed forward. Sophia grabbed a pole to defend herself, but her gorilla god's strength crushed it by accident. She quickly grabbed a mannequin stand instead and struck the man, knocking him down. The second man drew a weapon, but Sophia disarmed him and held the stand like a staff. After tying up the 2 men with ropes using skills she learned in survival class, she tried to question one of them, but he refused to speak, saying he wouldn't betray their beliefs. Suddenly, the squirrel squeaked and led her to a large box. Inside was a bomb, already counting down. Sophia asked the man how to stop it, but he only smiled coldly. She panicked. The bomb was nothing like what she trained for. She wanted to call for help, but she knew there wasn't enough time. So she made a decision. She told the squirrel to run and picked up the bomb, heading for the window. She jumped from the 3rd floor and landed safely on the ground. Then she ran across the schoolyard, holding the bomb tightly. She thought of everyone she wanted to protect, not just her friends and Louise, but all the students, even the ones who didn't like her. Finally, she reached a quiet area far from the party. She got ready to shield the bomb with her body. The squirrel appeared again and tried to stop the countdown. Seeing this made Sophia tear up. Then, as fireworks burst in the sky, she had an idea. She kicked the bomb high into the air with all her strength. They exploded in the sky, hidden by the fireworks. Nearby, Leo noticed the strange blast. He gave a knowing smile and vanished into the night. Sophia fell to her knees, exhausted but relieved. Then she heard Isaac's voice calling her. He and Eddie ran to her, worried. Sophia was too tired to stand. Isaac carried her while Eddie asked what had happened. Sophia explained she had followed suspicious people into the old building and found the bomb. She didn't mention Arana or Carissa. Eddie guessed the truth about the unusual firework and got angry that she took such a risk, but Sophia said the culprits were tied up inside. Soon, Louise arrived. Isaac reported everything. Sophia, still nervous, apologized for acting on her own. But Louise didn't respond. He just told her to rest and make a report later. Without looking at her, he ordered Eddie to take her to her dorm and Isaac to write the report. Sophia felt confused and hurt by Louise's cold attitude. She wondered if he now hated her. Back at school the next day, Carissa and her friends approached Sophia. They looked nervous. Carissa struggled to speak, but with a push from Arana, she finally apologized. The others followed, admitting their actions were out of jealousy and that the prank went too far. Sophia listened and thanked them. She told them she and Louise weren't that close. He was just her partner that night. The girls were surprised, especially when Sophia said that their prank accidentally helped her find the bomb. Carissa didn't understand the full story, but she smiled and complimented Sophia, saying she looked beautiful in her red dress. She encouraged Sophia to be more confident and even invited her out for tea. Arana agreed and said they could help her with her hair and makeup next time. The move was friendly for once. Even though Sophia smiled and laughed with them, her heart still worried about what Louise really thought of her. That marks the end of today's anime recap. If you enjoyed the video and want more of it, please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe. Let's help us reach a current goal of 10K subscribers.